called Storyteller. This series is all about the parables that Jesus told while he was on earth here. And a parable is something that is a little bit different word that we're not used to using, so we're going to start out right away by defining what a parable actually is. So a parable, as I have for my first slide here, a parable is a story with theological meaning. So literally a parable is just a story that Jesus told that has some sort of theological meaning behind it. So any of the characters that we actually talk about within these parables, they actually didn't exist in real life. None of these people were actually real. It's just Jesus trying to prove a point by telling a story. But the same way Jesus told a story, I am also going to tell a story that has been really memorable in my life, and that is talked about all the time, and that is actually one of my good friends. His name is Josh, his 17th birthday. This was a pretty interesting day because it started out with myself, my buddy Corey, and Josh hanging out at his house, just the three of us. He was going to have a party later on, and we were just hanging out. We used to take this PVC pipe that was still like what the 9 squares made out of, but it was really small. And we put Nerf darts in it, and we blow them, and they actually go way faster than any Nerf gun I've ever used, and they would leave marks. Josh Gussie is actually Ben Gussie's older brother, so Ben was here. He probably still has scars that we left on him because we always would shoot him in because he was his little brother. And it was so much fun, and once everybody got there, we had this incident with a mousetrap. So we were throwing a ball around in the house, and it went underneath something. I reached my hand underneath, and instead of grabbing the ball, I grabbed a mousetrap. And it just went, just right on my hand, just slapped right on my hand. And it hurt like crazy. I pulled my hand out, and there was a mousetrap on my hand. And because I was a 17-year-old guy, I decided, you know what? Everybody else here is going to have to put their hand in a mousetrap too, because I just did it. And so we went around, and every single guy then put their hand purposely in a mousetrap, which is really kind of stupid, but it was actually a lot of fun. And the night didn't stop there, actually. We actually then took it, we went outside, and the Gussies live on this hill. And this is not like a hill. This is like a hill. Like this is a small, it's a Nebraska mountain, no joke. It's great for sledding down, stuff like that, but it was the middle of July, so there's no sleds. So what we did, we went to the top of the hill. I was on a bike. We tied a string to the back of the bike, and Josh laid flat on a skateboard. No joke, this is actually what happened. And so he's holding on to the string, and I decide, you know what, I'm going to bike down this hill and pull him along with me. And so I start biking down, and I'm like, I don't want to go too fast. This is our first attempt at this, so I'm not going to go too fast here. I'm just going to take it easy. But anybody who knows Josh knows that he's about double my weight because he's just ridiculously muscular. And so he actually, as I'm trying to take the hill slowly, he actually starts catching up to me. All of a sudden, Josh is right next to me going down this hill, and the string actually got caught up in my, what was that thing called? Like the gears, whatever, the chain. I caught up in the chain, and it locked up my bike. So my bike goes flying forward a little bit. I actually landed it all right. I didn't get hurt. And Josh, we're not even a quarter way down this hill at this point, is just free-falling down this hill, going about 25, 30 miles an hour. No helmet, no nothing. He's wearing Vans, and he's sticking the tops of his Vans into the street, trying to slow down. And it looks like smoke coming out the back. He's just melting the rubber of his Vans. And he got all the way down the bottom of the hill. Finally, the grass at the bottom stopped him. And then, the night didn't stop there either. We decided after that we were going to get on top of his roof, and we jumped off his roof onto a trampoline, which also, it wasn't that tall a roof, so I don't suggest doing it, but it was a whole lot of fun. So that's just something that, as an adult today, I'm 22, I did this when I was about 17 years old. I was getting a beer with Josh and Corey last night, and we talked about this night because of how memorable it was and how much we just laugh about it. We're like, that was really stupid. We probably should not have gotten away with half the stuff that we did. In the same way, stories just help us remember things. Like if we have a point to say or something like that, stories is one of the most effective ways in order for us to remember whatever the point is that we use. You see this all the times in politics, like when they go to a debate or something like that, or when if you go to like a rally for a political candidate, they'll show a personal story of how that political candidate helped them out or something. It's always like, they were a war veteran and like how they went in and saved them, or there's all kinds of just different stories that they'll tell because people will relate to the stories more. You'll see this in the church. We do that all the time with a lot of our sermons. We tell personal stories like I just did. We do all kinds of stuff. And Jesus was actually no different. Stories were just as effective in the time of Jesus as they are now. And so Jesus decided, okay, I'm going to start telling stories in order to prove my point. And so now we call those stories parables. And so today we're actually going to be looking at one of his parables that comes from Luke chapter 15, verse 11 through 31. It is called the parable of the prodigal son. It's a very common parable. A lot of people know it, but not everybody does. So we're going to go over it. I'm not actually going to read directly from that because I really just don't like reading out loud, and so I don't want to read that many verses out loud to you guys. So I'm just going to tell the story the best I can, which I know it fairly well. So I'm going to tell it to you the best I can. So what happened was there's three characters in this story. There's a father, there's an older son, and there's a younger son. And so the younger son decides to go up to his father and he says, you know what, Dad? I want all my inheritance right now. He wants all his inheritance right away. So the way it would work is when his father would die, the inheritance would be split up amongst the two sons. And they would probably be split up evenly. Maybe the older son gets a little bit more than the younger son just because of his age. And he said, Dad, I want my inheritance now as if you were dead. I kind of wish you were dead just so I could have my money. And so his dad's like, well, I'm still alive, so are you sure you want this? And he's like, yep, give it to me. So his dad goes out and he gets his inheritance. He sells half of his land and he gives his son all the money. Now his son does not just go like, all right, well, I'm going to go put this into some investments and watch it grow over time. No, he goes to Vegas. What is basically the Vegas of their time, and he goes and he parties. And he doesn't party for like 2 days. He parties for a while. Like I think of like a 6-month Vegas trip. Like, can you imagine how expensive that would get with hotels and everything? He was gambling. He was out there paying for women. He was doing all kinds of stuff and just blowing his money away, paying for hotel rooms and everything. And basically one day he wakes up and all of a sudden he's out of money. He's got nothing left. Like, it just so happened that his hotel cost the exact amount of money he had left. Well, this guy, because his dad was a pretty wealthy guy, he didn't really have to work all that much growing up, and so at the same time, like, he had just got all his money, so he just spent it, so he didn't really have a way or any trades in order to do well and make his own money. So he probably was trying to get some jobs and stuff, and it didn't work out, and he couldn't get any money, so what he actually ended up doing was he moved in with a bunch of pigs. This kind of sounds fake, but it's actually true. So what Jesus says is he ends up eating with pigs. So you think of what a pig eats out, it's called trough. And you put slop, it's literally what it's called, is slop, into the trough, and the pigs eat it. It's just a bunch of trash, basically. And pigs don't care, they're pigs. And they eat it. And we eat those pigs later, it's a little bit gross, kind of. So he's actually there in a trough, eating with pigs. They don't say how long that goes on or anything like that, but eventually he's like, okay, this is no life for me to be living. Like, seriously, I'm eating with pigs, I'm living with pigs. Like, this is not the way I should be living my life. So you know what I'm going to do? My father has slaves. And none of his slaves are treated like this. None of his slaves have to eat slop. None of his slaves have to do any of that kind of thing. Like, they have a roof over their heads, they eat normal food. My dad treats them well. So I'm going to go back home, and I'm going to ask my dad if I can be one of his slaves. And so he takes the walk all the way back home. And it just so happens that his dad is on his front porch. And his dad sees his son walking down the road. And he runs to him. And you think, like, maybe his dad's, like, ticked off. Like, he's getting ready to maybe punch him in the face or something because, you took my inheritance, why are you coming back here? You just left me. But he actually runs to him and he gives him a hug. And the younger son is crying. He says, Dad, I'm so sorry. I lost all the money. It's all gone. And all I want is for you to let me be one of your slaves and let me serve you for the rest of your life. And his dad thinks for a second, and he's like, you know what? No. Actually, I want you to come and live with me again. I want you to be my son. And he calls for his servants to come, and they give him clothes, and they end up killing the best of all the animals that they own so that they can eat and they party for a long time. And this man accepts his son back, even though he had been gone and blown away over half of what his father had once owned. Now, I wish the story ended there, because the next part is what hits me harder, is you actually still have this older son. He hasn't really made an appearance other than he was mentioned at the beginning of it. But you have this older son. And he's there and he's upset. He's at the party, like they've been partying for a couple of days at this point. And he goes up to his dad, he's like, Dad, what have I ever done to you? Like seriously, what did I ever do to never get this type of treatment? Like this is not fair. I have stayed by your side. I didn't ask for my inheritance early. I've been working for you this entire time. He's been gone and partying and doing all this stuff, and then he comes back with nothing, and you want to accept him back, and you kill the best animals for him, and you do all this stuff for him. You throw a party for him. Why didn't you ever throw a party for me? And his dad just looks at him and says, my son, everything that I have is yours because you decided to stay. Everything that is currently his father's will one day become his because he decided to stay. But for now, we need to celebrate your brother because he was gone and now he is found. And that's the end of the parable. And so the question becomes, who are you in the parable? For me, I find myself with a whole lot of, I'm the older brother. I act like that way too much. I'll share a little bit from my personal life. I have an older sister. She's 24. She has a almost 1-year-old baby, and she's married. She's been married for about 7 months. And then I have a younger sister who's 21. She just turned 21, and just moved back here from North Carolina. And so I've had some interesting moments with them over my time. We'll start off by talking about cars. When it comes to cars, I love cars. I do. They're great. And my parents offered to buy us each a car when we went off to college. My sister got a pretty nice Volkswagen. My older sister did when she went off to college. She went to UNL for a year and got a pretty nice low mileage Volkswagen. My little sister got about a $10,000 Mercedes Benz. That was pretty nice. And I got a 1600, not 16,000, a 1600 1997 Honda Prelude with 250,000 miles on it. And I had to pay for half of it. And if you don't know what a Honda Prelude is, think of a really small car with 2 doors that most people above the height of 6'2" cannot actually fit in. I had to open, my buddy's 6'3", I had to open my sunroof so his head could stick out on top of it because he physically did not fit in the car. And so I had this car, ended up getting hit by a 12-passenger van in a parking lot. I wasn't in it, don't worry. It was all okay. And got some money for it, ended up getting a different car, all this stuff. And I was a little frustrated. I was like, my dad spent $800 on my car because I had to spend $800 on the other half of my car. And he straight up bought a $10,000 car for my sisters. I'm like, that just doesn't seem fair to me. And then I think about me. And I am the only child left that's still a Christ follower. Both of my sisters want nothing to do with the church. They were part of YU at one point when they were younger, and they want nothing to do with it at this point. And I'm like, okay, well, not only do I still consider myself a Christian, but I'm like, I'm leading other people to do this. Like, I lead a high school ministry. Like, that's pretty good. Like, as much as you want like a kid to follow Jesus, like I'm doing just about as much as you physically can to follow Jesus. So I feel like I'm doing pretty good there. And then also when it came to college, say my sisters and I were the exact same age, we graduated at the same time, and if you were to look at us and somebody were to tell them that the only one that's on pace to graduate college is Coleman, they would have laughed in your face, and I would have laughed at you too, because I was and still am a pretty bad student in school. Like, school was not my thing. My little sister was amazing at school. My older sister was all right at it. But they had more of a drive to go get a degree. I was much more like, if I get a degree, cool. If I don't, whatever. And I'm actually on pace to graduate in December, and neither one of my sisters will go to college. So I'm like, I'm kind of doing the thing that my parents want me to do. Like, I'm doing all this stuff, and I started it started out with not much. Like, this didn't really bother me. But once things started stacking up on top of each other, I'm like, okay, wait a second. Like, this doesn't seem fair, right? I mean, I'm doing all this stuff. Like the way that my parents wanted me to be when I got older, I am just about exactly what they pictured. And yet, for some reason, it seems like they are favoring them over me. And eventually I brought this up with my parents because I was pretty upset. I was like, guys, what is up with this? This doesn't seem fair. I would really like some nicer stuff, and can there be some sort of neutral treatment here? I'd at least like to be on the same level as them, I feel like I'm lower right now. And my parents came back and they basically said almost the same thing what his dad said, which, just makes me upset sometimes in my mind when I'm getting into a jealous mood and pretty negative. But they said, you're looking to be a pastor one day, and so we're probably going to be giving the church that you're part of money for a long time. I'm like, okay, that's a good point. And they also said that I'm engaged, and that after I get married, it won't be long until I have kids after that because of who I am. So I'm like, all right, they think my sex is going to be all right, so that's okay. And so you're probably going to have kids pretty early on. And so when that comes, maybe then we'll look into helping you guys out with the car so you guys can get something nice so that you guys will have a nice car when you have a kid. I'm like, okay, that's a good point. I'm like, well, why didn't you just explain this to me earlier and not let me be upset for 4 years about this before I finally brought it up with them? And they gave some really good explanations. And so when I read this story of the prodigal son, I always think of the older brother. Because I'm like, dude, you're doing everything right, but you don't feel like you're getting the same treatment that he got from the ones who were doing it wrong. And so I want you to think about who you are in the story. Are you the older brother? What I would say to you, if you feel like you're the older brother, I'd say first, be patient. Seriously, just wait. As the father said in the parable, he said, everything that I own will one day be yours. But it has to wait. Don't rush it. Because you've been waiting so long, you're going to want to rush it. So I suggest you don't. Because in order to be patient, you can't rush. Point number 3 I would say is there's a plan for you. You may not know what the plan is right this second, but there is a plan for you, so that's why you need to be patient. Now, maybe you identify with the father in this parable. Maybe you think, okay, I'm kind of like the dad. I feel like somebody in my life is gone, and I'm just waiting for them. Now, this is not in a relationship sense necessarily, but it could be something with one of your parents, or it could be with another relative or a friend, and it's we were best friends, and now they're out of my life, and I'm just kind of waiting for them to come. But I want you to know that I know you miss them, and I encourage you for now to keep waiting. Keep thinking about them. If you really, really want them to come back, keep on waiting on them, because they will come back. I would also say, be patient. In order to wait, it takes patience. Point number 3 I would say to you is when they come back, do not hold the things in the past against them. That's something the father did super well in this parable, right? When the son came back, he wasn't you know what, yeah, you can be one of my servants, I'm going to treat you worse than all my other servants because that's what you deserve. Because honestly, that is what he deserved. That's what all of us deserve. Anyone who's been in that situation, that's what we deserve. And it takes this grace that the father had in this. And so I encourage you, if you feel like you're the father in this, then, forgive them for the things of their past. Now maybe you feel like the younger son. I guarantee you, at some point in your life, if you have not already, then you will feel like the younger son at some point. We can identify best with the younger son. Because when you think of the younger son and what he did, there's one word that can describe what he did, and that's sin. Sin is something that is in all of us. We are all sinful people. We all lie, we all cheat, we all do something that is considered to be sin. And so we can all relate to the brother in some way, that for some reason, because we are sinful beings, I deserve to be the slave. And what I would say to you, if you're feeling this way right now in your life, is that you may be broken, but you are loved. Not only are you loved, but you are loved by God. I know that sometimes you can feel like, I've just done so much wrong. You haven't given away your parents' inheritance necessarily. But you're like, you know what, I am not living this life that maybe I pretend like I'm living while I'm at YU, or I'm just a completely different person there than I am here. Or maybe you're just straight up with who you are, and you're like, I'm not really living a life toward Jesus, and I am living what would be considered a broken life. And I would say if you are living that kind of broken life, that you are still loved by God. And you still have the opportunity to, no matter what, turn away from that broken life and turn your life towards Him. You will be accepted no matter what. Like, no matter what you do your entire life, whether it's already happened or will happen in the future, no matter what you do, God is still going to accept you one day. All you have to do is ask Him to be the forgiver of your sins and the leader of your life. This is something that's really hard for me to think about. I actually wasn't even going to share this story, but as I've been talking, it's something that's really hit home with myself and my fiance lately. My fiance's dad has been in jail her entire life. And for sexual harassment and other charges that are just monstrous, that I just feel so terrible for her that that's who she has to call her father. And just this last week, he actually got released from prison. Basically, it was the first time in her entire life. And she hates him. I can't blame her because he's a pretty terrible dude. And I hate him too. And he claims that in prison, he gave his life to Jesus. And all that she's able to remember is who he was in the past. And all that I'm able to know are the things that she has said and how terrible of a person that he is. And now, all of a sudden, he's trying to make his way back into her life a little bit. She's kind of pushing him away. But he keeps saying things like, no, I turned my life to God and I'm a good person now and everything. And in my human mind, I'm like, no, you're not. You're the same POS guy that was back there before you went to jail, and nothing changed now. I wish that you just never got out of prison. I just wish you would die there eventually. That's how I feel. And thinking about this topic, I have to think about how no matter what, God is even going to accept him. That almost makes me mad. I'm like, if there's anybody who's not acceptable by God, it should be him. He has done terrible things, and he has done so many, just the amount of bad things he's done in his life, it to me is almost unforgivable. But for some reason, our God says, even what he has done, I will still forgive him, and he has been accepted by God. Because he accepted God first. And so now, as a couple, my fiance and I have to discover how can we work on forgiving him and accepting him. I have no idea how we're going to do it. Because I really hope I never have to meet him. We're getting married in a year. I hope I never have to meet the guy. But at some point I know that I'm going to have to look him in the eyes and forgive him for the hurt that he caused my fiance, the woman who's going to be my future wife. That I have to forgive him because Jesus forgave him first. Now guys, I don't know where you are right now. Whether you're on some sort of spiritual journey, like you know who God is and you're on fire for him, you're excited about all this stuff and you just love eating all this information up. Or if you're like, you know what, I'm just here because I like playing nine square or I like a fake Irish accent or someone's kind of cute. I don't know why you're here. But guys, no matter where you are in your life right now, it is not too late to be broken, but to also be loved by God. God will always love you no matter what. He will. He loves you right now even if you don't love him right now. But all he wants for you to do is to turn to him and accept him. To ask him to be the forgiver of your sins, the leader of your life. That's all he wants you to do. That way we can start living a life that goes towards him and not away. Now I know we all have hurt. We all have pain. Some of us have been through so much. You guys are only 15, 16, 17 years old. And you guys have been through more than some people will go through their entire lives. You don't think, I don't know if God can forgive me for that. I don't know if I can forgive them for that. I don't know what I can do about this thing. But I encourage you, no matter what, it's not too late for you. Now guys, for the rest of this series, we're going to get the opportunity to just break down some of these parables. And the best way to break down these parables is by asking one question. That question is, who are you? Who are you? When you think of the characters that are in these parables, the whole reason why Jesus was telling them was so that they would identify with a specific character within. For this one, for most of us, I believe it's probably the younger brother. Where we feel broken, and we feel like we don't deserve love. And as we break these down over the next, I believe there's 5 weeks here where we're going to be talking about parables. As we break these down over the next 5 weeks, that question is going to be here the entire time. Is, who are you? I want you to think about that and identify who you are with the way that Jesus is talking. I know he said this 2,000 years ago. But when he said this 2,000 years ago, he also was thinking about you as an individual. That's why it's still applicable to our lives today. You don't have to have everything all put together in order to be accepted by God. You just have to be a person.